Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Suitcase Ensemble's travelling show. We are delighted to welcome you here this evening to share with you the next chapter in our travelling tale.
So on Wednesday, 2 days ago, I ran a workshop which 4 of my colleagues came along to, and I asked them to bring with them something that they would like to gift to a group of strangers. And then the idea is that I'm going to use the things that they gifted to me as my stimulus to create a performance of some description. So one of the things that I was given was this egg timer. One was a collection of poems, which was also given a one-line poem in German and also translated into English. 3 minutes from Tarkovsky's Stalker film. I revisited the gifts and started to think about them in terms of a kind of structure that they might provide for a devising process, for a performance, and approach them as a dramaturg who is going to be going into a process working with 2 other collaborators.
Welcome, one and all, to the Suitcase Ensemble's travelling show. Mr. Andrew Gledhill, Miss Maria Malone, these 4 gifts, we have created an original performance to be performed for one night only for you, our gathered audience this evening. We are delighted to present By the Light of the Moon. Once there was a moon wanted to build a home. Turning and circling, rising and setting, her cyclical movements allowed her to illuminate life across the land. And sometimes that life left traces, little discarded remnants that the moon would light upon. And when no one was looking, she would gather them up. Nearing the end of our story for you tonight, but perhaps is only the beginning for Puddle, Mouse and Moon. And if you would be so kind, you might help them by leaving some memories of your own for the moon to gather in her suitcase and to inspire Puddle's next story and the mouse's next persona. And we'd like each of you to share a memory with us as a gift for our next audience. Now, your memory might be represented by an object that you have with you, something that you don't mind giving away, like train ticket or like a sweet wrapper, iPhone, that sort of thing. Or you might want to just represent it with a short piece of text or a drawing, and it's up to you whether you want to tell us what the memory is. You don't have to. You can be very, very abstract. You could just share a little couple of words with us. It's totally up to you. So
it's actually a blank Christmas card. You did it for a techno event over.
The train ticket from where I live.
The 20p that the tooth fairy always used to leave.
a receipt. Welcome, one and all, to the Suitcase Ensemble's travelling show. Once there was a mouse who wasn't sure if he was a mouse, or at least he wasn't sure if he wanted to be this mouse. So sometimes he was a dog. Now the mouse lived in a small town where everyone knew him, so it was pretty difficult to just suddenly become a dog without attracting all sorts of confusion and even hostility. But the mouse had a plan, a way to try out a different identity without anyone even noticing. You see, there was a train service that ran between the mouse's town and a nearby city. So the mouse would travel into the city and undergo a transformation along the way. travels back and forth, the mouse dog became a keen commuter watcher. On all these journeys, he saw many different characters on the train, and sometimes, when they were rather busy and not paying attention, some passengers left things behind. Little traces of their journey, of their visit to the town or the city or the other little places in between. And the mouse dog liked to take these tokens and use them as clues to imagine who these people were and why they were on this journey. And because he was, of course, a musician, he would often accompany his imaginings with a little music.
Stop that train, I wanna get on. My baby, she's leaving now.
So, gathered guests, this is where we need your help. We have these 5 objects remaining, and we would like one of you to choose which object you would like to hear a story about. We just rewind that beautiful moment by Maria. You can see exactly what needs to happen. So you will simply come up, you will choose an object. Take a seat on the train. While you're sat down, you might have a little think for yourself. Have a look at the object. Imagine who this person might be, why they might have brought this on the train with them, and then why somehow they leave it behind. And then you leave it behind. And then, don't worry, we won't ask you to then go and do a dance, unless you really want to. You may then return to your seat in the audience, thank you, Maria, and we shall then see the mouse dog pick up the token, and we shall discover what is going on in his mind. And now, honoured guests, as Mouse Dog continues his journey, we invite you to share some tokens of your own, for him to imagine new stories as gifts for the next chapter of the travelling show.
Give back your heart to the stranger who loved you, the stranger you used to be, to the mouse that you used to be. So give back your heart
here we are working on our third travelling show. We visited 2 locations now, and we're working in the performance studio at Glasgow University.
And the 2 performances that we've done so far have both been quite storytelling driven, in that there's been a kind of narrative frame centred around a character who gathers objects for different reasons, and then those objects have kind of provided a way into telling different stories related to the audience gifts that we've received. So the 2 performances were very, very different, but they did both have that same structure. And we've been just talking this morning, so it's just after lunch now. We spent the morning talking about the gifts that we were given by our audience in Prescot, which you can see some of them here. In our discussions this morning, one of the things that was coming out was that this may be interesting to think about as an audience experience rather than just of us creating stories that we would tell to the audience. You can see on there the hotel card has been quite a big inspiration for a possibility of a structure, a hotel labyrinth, a hotel that exists between worlds, or a hotel that allows access to different worlds. And then there's also, in this little bag here, there's a doorknob, which has also come with a similar kind of idea of this like magic doorknob that opens doors to different worlds. So the doorknob and the hotel have maybe kind of come together in this possibility. But we're now just, the 3 of us are each setting up a little installation or a little atmosphere, a little audience experience that might bring together some of the different ideas that we've been talking about. Welcome, one and all, to the Suitcase Ensemble's travelling show. 40 fine folks from Prescot in Knowsley met up one night in the Cockpit House bar. They brought with them gifts for some strangers, not knowing who might receive them afar. Oh, what did they bring? Oh, what did they share? Oh, what did they give with such love and such care? If you were hoping for some Shakespeare or a lip balm, Prescot cables or an origami bird, if you were hoping for a coffee shop loyalty card, Mersey travel pass or a doorknob in a great, that's just what we've got. To begin chapter 3, we first decided to each select 4 gifts, for at this stage we thought there were 12 gifts, we hadn't quite counted properly. Shakespeare postcards, origami bird,
Paper airplane.
knob, remember the knob? Little kids, trail pass.
Ooh.
Love that. Lip on.
I'm going to have the football fixtures.
Castanet, half broken.
Smiley face, sad face.
Notebook extract. Hotel ticket thing.
Red ribbon.
Later we also discovered that there should have been a Tesco Express receipt, that was gifted, but we've lost it. But with these 12 gifts, we present to you now, for one night only, a completely unique experience. The Suitcase Ensemble's travelling show is delighted to present They Rolled into Town. One cold night, in a village in the north of England, a company of players checked into a local tavern. Exhausted from their journey, they retired to their rooms to relax before their performance the next evening. Like, what if we started again? When the company of players awoke the next morning, they came down to the tavern bar to share breakfast together. Having had a rather strange night, they had all overslept and missed breakfast. And so they all agreed to go to the local Tesco Express for some croissants. At this point, dear audience, I would remind you that the original Tesco Express receipt was never seen by any of us. We know that the receipt exists, but we don't know what it was for. It could be any number of possible things, and so I would invite you all to imagine now stepping into that Tesco Express on a cold morning in a village in the north of England, scouring the shelves for your croissants, but probably something else catches your eye. Maybe you end up with a whole basket full of shopping, or maybe there's just one thing you decide you want to get. And then you find yourself at the till or one of those self-service counters, you know, getting into a bit of trouble with it, not everything scans properly, the cashier has to come over and sort it out for you, take a security tag off something or whatever. And while you're stood there struggling with this self-service till, I want you to just picture anything else you could be doing in that moment, anywhere else.
I didn't even come in here to buy all of this stuff. I came here for 1 year.
Didn't even pick up the croissants. Anything else you could be doing in that moment instead of standing in Tesco Express spending money that you don't need to spend. Anything else you could be doing. Just think of one thing you'd rather be doing in that moment. And that, dear friends, is what we would like you to share with us as your gifts for our next audience.
We rolled into the town with a chalkboard and a plan. The road kept on rolling by, no end in sight. They rolled into the town with a chalkboard and a plan. The road kept on rolling by, no end in sight. Packed up and left us behind. Now that they are gone, oh, what have we done?
Dreamers and gentlefolk, that is the end of our performance for you this evening. The last thing we would invite you to do while we get changed, before we have a little discussion, is we have some thank you cards which we would like you to write back to the people who gifted this performance from Prescot. There are 12 people